just like that, the Utah Mammoth find their way into a loser point. A loser point. Instead of 2 points, 1 point. That's one to remember later in the season during the playoff chase. That is one of those games that should stick in your brain. As a Mammoth fan, you had 4 seconds left, and all you had to do was survive those 4 seconds. Huge miscues by Karel Vejmelka, by the entire defense system. Ian Cole overcommitted on his shift across, and the next thing you know, wide open net. Troy Terry sends the thing to overtime, and in short order, Owen Zellweger gets the overtime game-winning goal, and the Anaheim Ducks, a feel-good story from the beginning of the season, have found their way to get past the Utah Mammoth, a team that was hoping to be where Anaheim is, and now they find themselves 4 points away from Anaheim, out of the playoff picture early in the season here. Obviously, it's tons and tons and tons of hockey to go, but usually what the standings look like at Thanksgiving more or less hold up for what the standings are at the end of the year. So we're getting there. This next push of 4 games going to really prove a ton about what the Mammoth are. The good news is they have a game tomorrow night against the San Jose Sharks. If you are joining us tonight or you're tuning in tomorrow, we really appreciate you checking out the channel. We've been gone a little bit this year. I had significant, pretty dramatic personal stuff that happened in my life. I was responsible for and had to take care of my father, who got very sick. And anyway, without bringing us down too much, he actually did pass away. And so we've been taking a little time off, been trying to get feeling a little bit better, and deal with some of that grief. Loved the guy. He was a great sports fan. Taught me tons about sports and how to enjoy and take a look at things that you enjoy when you're watching the game and how to make sense of it. So I miss him terribly. But I also missed doing the stream, and so it's really nice to be back. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Keith Schertz. I run things around here at Hive State Hockey. If you have been a return viewer like my man Car Wash in the chat, I congratulate you on your exceedingly fine taste, and we definitely appreciate you coming back to be with us here tonight. So we have a few things we want to talk about as it relates to Utah Hockey Club. I've still had the chance to watch all the games. I can't help it. It is a passion of mine. I love watching hockey and certainly love checking out the Utah Mammoth. Absolutely love having a team here in Utah. So Car Wash. The reason that we haven't been on since the last Postgame Live, obviously that was the end of the season, and then my dad was hospitalized the day before the first game of the regular season this year. So I was busy being in a hospital instead of actually being able to. I was taking care of my pops instead of being able to hang out here and do some post games and check things out with y'all. So, okay, with that, let's talk a little bit about the game tonight. We are planning on trying to be back as much as possible. We'd love to be back again tomorrow night. I think we'll be here. Okay, so look, tough one, right? Really a difficult outcome. You had the lion's share of the shots in the game, although you weren't getting very many high danger shots. I gotta say, I gotta give so much credit to Anaheim. Anaheim made a very difficult choice. They got rid of Trevor Zegras. They decided to move on past him. Then, and they gave very little for him in return. Honestly, this may not have been a good trade overall. But the bigger thing for them was not Trevor Zegras at all. Instead, it was going and getting Joel Quenneville. And obviously, he's an excellent coach. He's won multiple Stanley Cups in Chicago. And I thought what Joel Quenneville has done for this young group, and then the additions that they have of some of their more experienced players, I think they're just getting more out of them. And right now, Utah's kind of over leveraged on how young the team is, and they're not getting a whole lot of kind of that veteran savvy. And so, really an interesting scenario as you watch Utah continue trying to navigate. They're gonna be streaky. They're young. So one of the things that you definitely see with younger players is there's this, and all hockey players tend to have times where they're in a groove and the puck seems to just go in the net. This happens to all players. Nathan McKinnon has periods of time where, he's streaky. It's just when he's hot, it's like incredibly hot. So, but I would just say that, I think the big thing that we need to, and you know what, I'm going to turn down this light a little bit. The light is it's a bit much, don't we think? Sorry, gang. Ooh, yeah, no. There we go. A little bit better? I think it's a little better. Okay. So one of the things that I think is going to be important for Utah is as they deal with the streakiness, can they be kind of emotionally resilient to kind of pull themselves out and find their way along? And so it'll be really fascinating to watch as the season progresses. It'll be really fascinating to see if Utah can find a way to be more resilient than they were last year. And again, we've got such a young group, and it needs to be expected that they're going to have times where they really struggle. Car wash. I thought we were going to win until they scored 4.1 seconds left, and they lost in overtime. Still get 1 point, but sucks we lost. No question about that. No doubt about that. That was a heartbreaking game for sure for the Mammoth. And I think it's a game that, will stick in your craw. It'll be something that you'll remember later in the season. I think it would be one of those games where you go, that was a missed opportunity. And so, when it came down to it last year, the Mammoth missed by, I think, 4 points getting into the playoffs. So every point is super crucial. At least they get the one, but it should have been two tonight. I want to talk a little bit about two main things, and then we'll keep it kind of shorter as we get into more of these streams. We'll start more of a dialogue back and forth, but it continues to be the case that I am frustrated with the style of play for the Utah Mammoth. Now, I do not think that they need to play like Florida in order to be successful. They do not need to be a massive forecheck team that just dumps, chases, beats the crap out of you, gets the puck back on their stick, and quickly throws it into the slot for a shot on net. Like that formula clearly works. It really works in the playoffs for sure. And we've seen them lift the cup twice by having this philosophy and by being so comfortable with forechecking. It is absolutely the case that Utah does not forecheck. They don't do it. So without forechecking, right, and forechecking by taking the body. They may at times try to get their sticks active, but really the truth of the matter is the only line that ever kind of sends it in deep, goes in and tries to create a ruckus, south of the goal line and find their way into the glass, against the boards, digging pucks out and trying to create circumstances to score. The only group that does that is the third line, and really the only guys that are doing that on that third line are Carcone and McBain. Krause doesn't really do it. He's big and he is physical, but that line, you would think he'd be one of the more physical players because of his size. That's not the way that this is going. Carcone skates hard. McBain gets in there. He goes hard, and they create a little chaos, and then they keep feeding it over to Lawson Krause. Now, they've made some adjustments with that third line where they've paired JJ Peterka down instead of Carcone, or they've had Carcone and Peterka, and then they've had McBain out, and it's increased the scoring opportunities for JJ Peterka, and he's been better in those circumstances. So that's the first thing. They do not really get through the neutral zone. So if they cannot carry it in and then try to make that east-west pass, that's basically it. Like, the opportunity is over. So you've broken it out. You've gotten through the neutral zone. You skate through the neutral zone. And then you're going to take 2-3 strides into the offensive zone, hold up, and try to make a play along the blue line going east-west. And it doesn't result in very many opportunities. Or instead of the east-west pass, which, by the way, this was the thing that used to drive me crazy about Matias Maccelli. It's one of the reasons why they didn't like playing him, is because Maccelli always looked for the east-west pass, and then they'd lose possession for it. And now Nick Schmaltz and Clayton Keller, they are constantly looking for that east-west pass. So it's an interesting thing. The other thing too I don't love is that when they get a little speed and they get through the neutral zone, they will get into that offensive zone, work their way to the top of the circle, and then they will either pass it back to the blue line to the defenseman, or they will circle themselves back and set up shop kind of at the top of the circle or over by the half boards there and begin the process, and then end up ringing it down low. So instead of sending it in as a chip and chase, they then ring it down low as a pass at that position. But again, what chip and chase does is it gets the defenseman to take the opportunity to try to go get the puck and win the puck and get an easy breakout the other way. But it also means that they're going to have to endure a little bit of punishment. They're definitely going to have a fight along the board. It's more miserable. In the circumstance where Clayton Keller skates in, holds up, turns his back to the goalie, either drops it back to the blue line or whatever, they can then set up their 5 on the dice. They can get their, the 2-1-2 set up in the defensive zone. Everybody can get back. And now you are attacking on the cycle rather than on the rush. This team, for 2 years now, has not been a team that has been very willing to take opportunities on the rush. They don't make a shot towards the net, and then they don't necessarily go and crash hard and look for rebounds. Instead, they elect to hold up and turn back and try to create a position on the cycle. And unfortunately, in my opinion, on the cycle for them, they have one solution. And it's a saucer pass across the Royal Road, right across the middle of the ice for a one-timer. And that's how they scored both their goals tonight. They got both of them on a nice cross-ice pass for a one-timer that was buried by Dylan Guenther and then buried by Logan Cooley. So I'm totally fine with trying to get one-timers onto the stick of Dylan Guenther. What I don't love is that a lot of what we're seeing in the cycle for the Utah Mammoth is one idea. We very rarely see Barrett Hayton getting in front and trying to get a deflection. We very rarely are seeing, moves to try to set up shop where Logan Cooley is sitting behind the net and he does the Wayne Gretzky's house, right, thing where you look at it and then you have the four skaters begin the process of trying to attack in, and you try to catch somebody who's skating towards the slot as you move left and right, and you try to get a pass through the slot in those ways. There's none of those are two very basic ideas that have been effective forever, and it seems like there's just one idea, which is to try to get a cross the seam pass for a one-timer and hope that when we take that one-timer, it all works out. That is what they're looking at for 5-on-5. They very rarely go to the net. Very rarely go. The blue liners do their job. They hold it. They get it back there. If they don't have anything, they don't have a clear zone to pass, they'll just try to send it to the net and see what happens. They do that, and then it's retrieval time. And Utah does a reasonable job retrieving and going and battling there. So this is what's frustrating to me, is that if you're good at retrieving the puck after a shot, and you can go win some board battles after a shot, why then are we so unwilling to try to dump it in when a scenario definitely shows that we should dump, and then go compete? Go make a hit. Go win the possession back. And I know I'm asking Dylan Guenther and JJ Peterka and Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz and those four in particular, because I actually think Logan Cooley loves going in there and mixing it up. I think Barrett Hayton is perfectly happy to go in there and to fight along the boards. I think Barrett Hayton could be a very good player in this league. I think he's on the wrong team. I think the system around him is bad. He's not a good fit for what Andre Tourigny wants to pull off. So that is my biggest thing. Is I don't understand what the point is of having a bunch of young players who can skate and skate fast and hard and are comfortable with the puck on their stick. Why is it that Clayton Keller is quick? He could go quicker. I mean, really quicker. Put the hammer down and go. Instead, he goes at a 9 or an 8 instead and then holds up. And I think he could go into a little extra gear. His shot's too good. Take a shot. See what happens. He did more of that earlier in his career. He made a lot of goals that way. He still makes a lot of goals. He's Clayton Keller. He's a really good player. But if you're asking me, I'd love to see more chances on the rush. I just am not a fan of what the system is and kind of the idea here is. I get that the idea is that if you have more possession of the puck, then you have a better opportunity to win. That instead of having more shots at the end of the game, you'd rather have more possession. I think if we were to talk to Andre Tourigny, and reasonable people could disagree on this, right? Andre Tourigny, I think, would rather have, if he had to pick one, would you rather have greater time of having the puck in your possession or more shots on goals than the other team? And I think he would pick possession. Possession. But in the name of that, they rarely try to take their chances towards the net on the rush. And in my opinion, you've got a bunch of skilled kids who skate incredibly well. Very fast team. Carcone's fast. You got a lot of guys that can really skate. And so if you can do that and you can skate really well, why wouldn't you go to the net? So that's kind of my philosophical problem with what they have going. Anaheim is much better this year without changing much. In fact, they got less talented, in my opinion, by getting rid of Zegras, because Zegras has been great in Philadelphia. Anaheim has less talent on their team this year, and they're way better. Way better as a team this year. That has everything to do with Joel Quenneville finding a way to maximize the talent that he has, to put in a system that gives them the opportunity to be most effective. And what is that system? It is to go to the net. They create more rush opportunities than any other team in the National Hockey League. And genuinely, I think Utah could do the same thing, and I think it would really work for them. So, now Utah's doing okay, but they're currently out of the mix, and that's, they have the ambition to find themselves in the playoffs this year, right? That's the whole stated goal. Can they make the playoffs? Can they make the playoffs? As things currently stand, they are out. They're losing the tiebreak. They are currently team number 9. They're really, really close. They are not, it's not like this is a bad team. They're close to being able to meet that goal. But Anaheim, out of nowhere, because they're playing a brand of hockey that fits their system, they are the number 1 team in the Pacific right now. Seattle, right? Seattle is sitting at 23 points. They're 3rd in the Pacific. They are a playoff team right now. New coach. I'm not saying that they need to move from Andre Tourney, but if they don't make the playoffs this year, yes, they do. They don't need to do it right now, clearly. But they definitely can make a move to try to put themselves in a much better position to try to maximize the skill and talent abilities of the players that they have on their team. So, okay. So that's that. Hey, if you're hanging out here, we got one more topic for tonight. If you're hanging out here and you're enjoying the stream, if you would, just give me the little thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up, the I like this, and just give it the like. I appreciate that. If you'll do that, I think it helps people find the stream. It makes me feel good. It's just an easy thing to do, to just be a great guy. So if you could do that, I'd very appreciate it. Okay, so that is the first thing. Is I think the approach for the offense is not appropriate for the skill that this team has. The second thing that I would suggest as I take a look at this is I really have had a problem with, even from the beginning of the year, there are multiple studies that have been done that indicate the great importance of having a left shot defenseman paired with a right shot defenseman. And when Sean Durzi went out, without Sean Durzi, the only right shot defensemen on this team are John Marino and Nick DeSimone. Otherwise, they're frequently playing either Sergachev on the right side, So now you've got your best defenseman, and he's playing, backhand. He's playing playing backhand clears and trying to make his breakout passes, not on his forehand. So it's not good. He's frequently defending with one hand on his stick instead of two. Sergachev's great, but the point of paying Sergachev $8 million a year to be a defenseman is to not play on the right-hand side. You have experimented with Olli Maatta on the right. That has not worked. And now you're in a position where you're like, wow, well, I guess we're kind of liking what we see out of Nick DeSimone, but Nick DeSimone's playing 14 to 16 minutes. He's a third pair defenseman. He's, borderline, like he's a 7. Maybe he's a tweener between AHL for top pairing and NHL bottom pairing. He's just not. He's not the guy that you want there. And then Nate Schmidt, playing on the right-hand side. Again, there's guys that have done it and can try to do it. Nate Schmidt looks more comfortable out there doing it. Olli Maatta has tried to do it at different times in his career. But ultimately, the answer has to be that what you're going to look for is balance between a left shot defenseman and a right shot defenseman. There are very easy, clear studies that have been done that show the better efficiency of that balanced pairing. It's just really clear to understand that if I'm on the right-hand side and I'm on a right shot, that what I can do is use my body and keep my two hands and drive the guy away from the middle of the ice towards the boards. And as we make a hit, as you drive him out to that outside and push him down low and behind the net, as you do all the stuff that you're supposed to do as a defenseman, you can put yourself in a position where if you make a good poke check and you get the puck loose, or you make a strong stick lift, we're doing any of those things, right? You jab at the puck, any of it. You'll have a lot more control. You're going to commit less penalties. You're going to have all of those things are going to come together. And what'll happen is that if you get the puck on your stick, you can then quickly ring it up the boards and get it out of the zone. Or with your strong hand, you're a defenseman, right? You don't have great hands. That's why you're bigger and you're a defenseman. But your breakout pass on your forehand, you're not taking the extra beat to then have to switch and get it onto your forehand to then get to your breakout. So defensively, getting out of your own end, we know how fast hockey is. This much more effort to make a good pass for the breakout, to send the team going the other way. And again, if you can have all the speed that Utah has, you could make the neutral zone a place where you have an advantage because you have speed. That doesn't happen. It cannot happen if you have a left shot playing on the right-hand side. It won't happen. It's just that extra beat, man. It's too impactful. Too impactful. And so I think this is severely affecting Utah, and I think it's affecting them to the point of, like, it's time to call up Maverick Lamoureux, and it's like time to do it now. Or you need to take a look at who you can potentially trade, right? Olli Maatta has not shown very much that makes anyone really want to trade for him. Ian Cole, I think he's on a 1-year deal. You could potentially trade Ian Cole, right? But you need to pick up a right shot defenseman. And the problem is that right shot defensemen are more scarce. It's harder to get. So they send Kesselring out. They bring in Peterka because he's fast, but we can't use his speed because we can't get good breakout passes. And one of the reasons why that trade was going to be fine, potentially, is that you didn't need to worry about Kesselring going because you had Maverick Lamoureux. And so, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Obviously, you love doing Shimashev. You don't want to send him down to the AHL. I'm certain that he doesn't want to be down there. So the question of like, what do you do then? Like, who's gonna be your seventh guy? Well, it's either Nate. I mean, you could potentially trade Nate Schmidt, but you just picked him up. You signed him to like a 2-3 year deal. He's old. Like, he's not somebody people are dying to trade for at this point. Like, he has, I think, the most interesting case. But anyone want old man Cole in a trade? Or do you just ride it out and just hope that, you can be on the fringe of it, and then when Sean Durzi comes back, he's not as rusty as he was, and he doesn't take, 15 games to get going like he did last year, and then you count on Sean Durzi to make things right? The Durzi injury is a big, big deal. They do not have another right shot defenseman. Last year when they had Sean Durzi go out, they gave a look to Maverick Lamoureux. I thought he did okay. I think people would be surprised at what a difference that ended up making because of the way that they move out of the zone. Their breakouts will get significantly better right away. It has nothing. Nate Schmidt is better than Maverick Lamoureux, but Maverick Lamoureux can play on the right-hand side and be natural at it. Nate Schmidt can play on the right-hand side, but has natural deficiencies with being there, right? It's no different than in baseball where you don't want your second baseman to be left-handed, right? Because it makes it a little awkward. It's more natural to throw with your right towards first. If you have it and then you field and you go to your left, you got to turn out. Now we're throwing the ball behind the bag. We're reaching that direction. We've got this different, it's just this extra bit of time, and a bunch more people are going to be safe. So in baseball, there's never a left-handed second baseman. So that to me is exactly what is happening with the defense right now when they play a right shot. When they're playing a left shot guy on the right side of defense. The data supports it. The logic supports it. Utah has tried to survive this way. It's a problem that I saw entering the season. I don't love that we're in Nick DeSimone land, but we are. I mean, the plan at the beginning of the year when Durzi was healthy was to have Nick DeSimone be a healthy scratch, be the seventh defenseman. Yeah. All right, and then I guess the last thing I'll say is that depth scoring, once again, continues to be a problem for the Utah Mammoth. It was a problem last year for the hockey club. Fourth line, not doing much. They're really doing a lot to say that the third line is doing really, really well. It is exciting to see the energy that they're going out there with. They're getting rewarded for their forechecking and the work that's being done. And then there's not expectation put on to Schmaltz and Keller to send the puck in deep and let Cooley go battle for that thing. Or let Schmaltz go in and battle that thing. If those players can do the job on puck retrievals, why can't they do it through the neutral zone? It makes no sense to me. And if you're rewarding the third line and you're like, hey, you guys are going to start the game for us, you're going to set the tempo for us, that is what we're looking for. Then why isn't the system asking people to play in this way? And then as it relates to the fourth line, Yamamoto and O'Brien and Tanev and Stenlin, they're all fine. Stenlin is a real weapon. It's a nice thing to have him for the face-offs. So that's a cool thing. He has like an extra gear there. The next fight Liam O'Brien wins will be the first. He once again gets just absolutely plastered tonight. He got pretty beat up. So, yeah, that's how that looks. Hey, L. Rouser, sorry if you've been in here for a bit and I didn't see that. I just got to see that. How long is Dursey out? I don't know. They tend to be a little cagey with it, but I think, didn't I read that Sean Dursey was in a non-contact jersey and he's been like skating? Let me see. Injury update. Let's Google it. He went into surgery in early November and is expected to be sidelined for 4 to 6 months. So what? At best, November, December, January, February. So like after the Olympics in March. I mean, they're going to have to hold on. That's at best. At worst, we'll see him next year. Right? March, and then April, and then he'll be healthy for June. So, yeah, he might be done. So, yes, Sean Dursey's injury is 4 to 6 months, it looks like, and he just underwent surgery on that a couple weeks ago. All right, good question. Thank you. Thanks for the question. Appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do, but I just think there's just a logistical problem. It's a failure in roster construction, and they overcommitted. They signed too many left shot guys. They decided to bring up Shimashev and have him be a rookie that's playing significant minutes every single game. They don't trust him to be on the right hand side because he's a left shot, which makes sense. They've been playing their best defenseman on the left side. Anyway, I've already harped on that, but it is. For me, those are the two things that are bothering me about the Utah Mammoth, and the things that I'm noticing with them. Now, look, the save percentage is too low. It's too low, but the amount of high danger opportunities they're giving up, the percentage of of shots for the opponents that end up as high danger shots, it's too high. It's too high. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how they continue to manage it. But as it relates to tonight, only 2 goals get on the board. One-timers through the cycle. One on the left-hand side to Dylan Guenther. One on the right-hand side to Logan Cooley. They are obviously amazing, amazing young players. Who I think can play in almost, especially Cooley, any sort of system or scenario you want to put him into. I think Logan Cooley can be successful in that system and scenario. I think Guenther is more of a specialist, and that's okay because what he does really well, he does incredibly well. So he's thrilling to watch. All right, that is it. Let's leave it there tonight. We'll be back. We'll be back to talk about the San Jose Utah game tomorrow night, right here on Hive State Hockey. Again, really appreciate your patience and the fact that we had to be away. I wanted to be back. I'm glad to be back, and appreciate again your understanding in that matter. My name is Keith Schertz. If you've enjoyed today's broadcast, give the thumbs up below, and also consider subscribing if you're new here. We'd love to see you around. We'll see you again real soon, and until then, Tusks up and stay out of trouble.